Now that takes the guy covering him plus the free safety. Then you can work underneath. That is a big thing that goes unnoticed.
1st and 10.
There's Nick Bell's first carry. He's a rookie they just activated today. In fact, Nick Bell was a second-round choice from Iowa. He got hurt in Japan in a preseason game. The Raiders thought that he was going to do great things for him this year. Pulled a hamstring bad and couldn't play until now. That's his first NFL play we just saw.
And he's big.
Oh, yeah, he looks like a pulling guard coming out there. Look at the size of this guy. He weighs over 250 pounds, and he's a tailback.
And he's fast. 2nd down. Schrader back to throw it. Gets it to Fernandez. And Fernandez gets the 1st down. I'd like to welcome those of you who watched Chicago and Buffalo, where the final score was Buffalo 35, the Chicago Bears 20. Here in Los Angeles, the 49ers and the Raiders are 3-0 San Francisco. We're still in the first quarter with 1:40 left to play. 1st and 10 Raiders, just shy of midfield. Smith and Bell are the 2 running backs. Horton goes in motion. This is Bell. Hit first by Griffin. Larry Roberts with an assist.
You know, anytime you're going to run anywhere, you have to block the nose tackle. Now watch 72 Mosbar. He'll be blocking Michael Carter, 95. See, he gets help from his guard, Wisniewski. You see, they're going to double him, then they just drive him to the ground. Now, if you get that kind of block, you are going to gain some yardage. And that is tough. I mean, it's tough. This guy's not the player he used to be, but I'll tell you, he's still pretty good, and he is tough to move. The Raiders moved him on that one.
He's up in that 300 neighborhood.
And another half a Hunsky, I think, on that.
Back to throw has Nick Bell. And he lunges enough forward for 1st down. Stopped by Mark Lee.
You know, they're worried about Nick Bell coming off that hamstring. In fact, they're going to take him out. Now, they don't want to leave him in there too long to tire him, because you say you can run on a Stairmaster, you can get in a swimming pool, but the guy's not in football shape.
I think they all realize that.
Now, you get a few hits like that, you'll get in football shape awfully quick.
That's the end of the first quarter. The score, 49ers 3, the Raiders nothing. First and 10 with Roger Craig behind Schrader. Craig at the line of scrimmage, might have gotten a yard, perhaps no game. Ted Washington and Darren Jordan made the stop.
The 49ers have so much respect for Roger Craig. We were talking last night to Tom Rathman, and he said, you know, as a teammate, I love the guy because we both played at Nebraska, and he said when he came in, Roger Craig took his hand, you know, and led him through what the 49ers were and what pro football was. And he said no matter who he plays for, I'll never forget that. And I think most of the 49ers feel that way about Roger Craig.
They still talk, Rathman said, every Tuesday. Very close friends. 2nd down and 10. Schrader. This is Roger Craig. 11 yards. Stopped by Bowles, but a Raider 1st down.
Hey, Roger Craig is kind of beat up, too. He has a bad knee. He has a bursa on his knee. He has a bad shoulder. He injured last week. And the one thing the 49ers know that they better not let him get excited. And he is starting to get excited now.
Marcus Allen still on the injured list. 5-time Pro Bowl selection. They figured that Roger Craig and Marcus Allen would share the playing time, but the load has fallen to Craig. He falls forward for a gain of a couple.
And Craig has to carry that load until he's getting a little help today from Nick Bell. Then they hope to get Marcus Allen back. And then, of course, there's always the possibility down the road of Bo Jackson. You know, that thing's not out of the way yet.
That, I think, they don't really expect, though, do you?
No, but they never have expected it. They always thought that anything that they got from Bo Jackson was going to be a bonus, and I'm sure it's no different this year. In fact, Art Shell said that Bo Jackson told him if he plays baseball, he'll play football.
2nd and 8. Schrader misses a man. Mervin Fernandez over the middle. 49ers had the blitz coming.
There's Kevin Fagan right there, not playing today. His partner on the other side, Pierce Holt, also hasn't played. And so we mentioned that the 49ers brought in and signed Jim Burt, and that's why the 49er defensive front has really been beaten up, because those two guys, Fagan and Holt, they were kind of the cornerstone of that front group.
The strength.
And you take that out of there, you're going to get some running on them.
Schrader back to throw. Chased by Haley. Out of bounds and well out of bounds. And the Raiders will try to tie it now. Schrader, if they give him protection, he'll beat anybody.
Yeah, and they're booing him. I mean, he just had nothing there. He got a rush, and he flushed and went out of the pocket, and then there was no one open, so he did the smart thing. He threw the ball away, and then that brings up this possibility.
Jaeger from 44 yards with Gossett, the punter, holding. Certainly far enough and good enough, and we have a tie. 44-yard field goal by Jaeger. 3-3, second quarter. At Summerall with John Madden at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Over 90,000 in attendance here for the match between the 49ers and the Raiders. And look what's going on in Los Angeles and the Southern California area today. Sports fans are everywhere. 92 here, 57 plus for the Packers and the Rams. The Giants and the Dodgers sold out. The LPGA event attracting some 35,000. Pretty much do what you want to do today, can't you?
Well, you can't forget about that badminton. They got a couple grand down there.
Spencer Tillman with the return of 27 yards, gets it outside the 30. 49ers go on offense. 3-3 with 12:29 left in the first half. Tie score at 3-3 as you look at Al Davis, president and the general partner of the Los Angeles Raiders.
You know, and this guy right next to him was Jim Otto, the all-pro center, Hall of Fame center, great player, number 00. I never thought I'd see my old center wearing sunglasses. Usually they still got an old helmet, an old bucket sitting around someplace when you're a center.
Some dirt somewhere.
Yeah.
Here's Young is going to take off. Out to the 40. Anthony Smith tripped him up, but he scrambled for 8. 3-3 tie.
This is the thing that you always have to watch about with Steve Young, that in your rush lanes, you can't give him any holes. You see the hole right there? That big gap. The minute he looks downfield, he also sees that wide gap. And anytime he sees a wide gap and he can pick up 7 or 8 yards, he will take it.
2nd and 2. That's Jerry Rice, of course. Has not had a pass thrown in his direction yet. Intended for John Taylor. He just got away.
You know, the 49ers script their first 15 plays. It's interesting to me that they haven't gotten the ball to Jerry Rice yet. But look what they did. The first week they were 9-6 pass and run. Second week 6-9 pass and run. Third week 8-7. Fourth week they were 11 pass. That was last week, and 4 run. Today they were only 6 passes and 9 runs. So that was their thought coming into today's game. But I think you have to get the ball sometime to Jerry Rice in the first quarter.
Keith Henderson with room to roam, and does into Raider territory and out of bounds at the 41. Lionel Washington finally tripped him up, but a 20-yard gain for Henderson.
Maybe you don't have to throw the ball to Jerry Rice if you're going to get running like this, and you can see the difference. Last week, they were going to pass a lot in the script. This week, the script is to run, and they had a soft spot over there against the Raiders, so this is something that they feel they could do, and they want to do it early.
Harris Barton got around the corner in front of Henderson.
Of course, he's a right tackle now. Used to be a right guard last year, so he's used to pulling to his left.
1st and 10, San Francisco. Young will throw it on 1st down. It does. To Jamie Williams. Stopped by Ricky Ellison, a gain of 6.
Ricky Ellison was telling us yesterday that he knows that they're going to play pass on him, because Ricky Ellison is one of those wild-eyed linebackers, and any bait you get him, he's going to take a bite on it. And he says that they know that, and he knows that. And he said once in practice this week, they did a play, he ran all the way into the backfield, and Ronnie Lott said, "Hey, Ellison, look, you know they're going to do that to you. Don't go for the play fake."
But he was smiling when he said it. 2nd and 4. Anderson again. Shy of a 1st down. Just a little bit.
It's interesting here that the 49ers are taking this approach, but it may not be a bad way to go, you know, to try and wear that Raider defense down by running on them early. And I know one thing, that whether it's right or not, or good or not, the offensive linemen sure like it.
They like that chance to wear those big guys down across from them.
Every offensive lineman would rather be, well, he'd like to catch a pass for a touchdown someday, but he would rather block on the run than block on the pass.
3rd and short. Young didn't like what he saw. Timeout, San Francisco. 3-3 tie with 9.5 minutes left to play in the 1st half. Here at the Los Angeles Coliseum with 9:32 left to play in the 1st half. It's the 49ers 3, the Raiders 3. 3rd and short, San Francisco. The Raiders 32. They need a yard. Rice in motion. Sidney got the 1st down. Across the 30, a pickup of 5 into deeper into Raider territory. Greg Townsend tripped him up.
I'll tell you, the 49ers are doing a good job of balancing run and pass, and then from the run, balancing it to the left and to the right. You can see they've run 5 times to the left for 38 yards, 7 times to the right for 40 yards. So they aren't picking on any one person or one area. They're just kind of having a good mixture.
1st down at the 27. 3-3 tie. Hit by Howie Long. Got away from one Raider tackle. I'm not sure if he was down or not. McDaniel finally tripped him up and made him stay down.
I think they're saying he's down back there, Pat, about the 32-yard line. See, the referee back there saying that his knee is down. Now watch him. If he were down, it's going to be right there. In other words, he goes down, but was he touched when he went down? That's the thing. If you go down, you can get back up if no one touched you. But the referee said he was down there.
Did he trip over his own man?
Yeah, he did trip over his own man, but the key is, did anyone touch him while he was down? And they didn't. They should allow that run. But the referee is going to say he probably blew his whistle back then. That's all I can understand.
49ers out of the huddle quickly, so no review apparently. And now we're going to wait.
See, again, you can see he did trip over his own man, Harris Barton. But does Howie Long touch him there? No, I don't think anyone touched him. So if no one touches him, he can get up and run if the whistle didn't blow.
They're reviewing.
See, now, let's look at it on the coach's clicker here. You'll see right here, his knee's down. See, so that's what they're saying. Here, his knee's down. Now, that's okay. You can have your knee down and get up if no one on defense touches you. No one touched him.
Dooley. Whatever it was, he accepted it.
Well, there's no alternative.
That's right. You may not believe it.
You know, in the streets, you can say, you say that, I'll take my ball and go home.
Well, Steve Young, who's a wonderful athlete, made about 5 Raiders miss. Finally, Tom Benson got him down, but he picked up 7.
If you're going to tackle him, you better tackle him. You better wrap your arms around him. Let's just watch and see what he sees. You see, if we just stop it right here, he's rolling out here. Now, anytime you give him this big a gap, this is the lane he looks for. He knows that he can get to this point. The pursuit is going to get him, but when the pursuit gets there, they miss. You see, he saw that gap, made a miss there. Here's Howie Long. He misses right there. Another miss there, and the 4th guy finally got him.
3rd and 7. Just got rid of it and picked off by Howie Long. Anthony Smith grabbed Steve Young, who dumped it in the direction of a screen, I think, that was trying to be set up, and Howie Long came up with it.
That's the thing you never do. You never throw the ball away in the middle of the field, especially where a defensive lineman can catch it. He was just trying to get rid of the ball here to avoid the sack. He's trying to throw it away, but you never, ever throw it away in the middle. You don't think Howie Long feels good right now?
His 2nd career interception. Pass. 2nd interception by the Raiders, and both times the 49ers have been deep in Los Angeles territory.
Yeah, they got everything down there in the sideline now, don't they, Pat? Remember, it was an old water bucket?
Incomplete. Ended for Ethan Horton. Romanowski back in the coverage.
Well, Jay Schrader has to get something going here because the Raider defense is really doing a good job. The 49ers have been in Raider territory 3 times. They got 1 field goal out of it, and Steve Young has thrown 2 interceptions. So that can be, you know, if you're a 49er fan, you say, geez, we're self-destructing. If you're a Raider fan, you're saying we're playing good defense down there.
That was Ronnie Lott's appraisal yesterday. They get down close, but they just don't seem to have the patience to get it in. Smith. Good yardage, left side, stopped by Waymer. Got 7. Bring up a 3rd down.
This is where the Raiders are having problems on 3rd down. Not necessarily this. This is a pretty good 3rd down. You know, the 3rd and 3 or 4 or 5 in that area is pretty good. The one you worry about is that, you know, 3rd and 10 or 12 or more.
Yeah, if you wind up with that situation too many times, you look for another profession.
That's right. You can look at the Raiders where they ran today. They've still left-handed. They've run 7 times to the left and only 1 time to the right.
Smith is the lone setback. Tim Brown on the move. Gets the reverse. Brown gets the Raider 1st down across the 15 to about the 47. Stopped by Dave Whitmore.
That's what Art Shell was telling us yesterday. He says, we have to get the ball to Tim Brown more. Tim Brown, remember, he came out in Notre Dame, and he was a great pass receiver, kick return, and all those things. He had a severe knee injury 2 years ago. Really wasn't the same guy last year, but Art Shell was saying yesterday that he doesn't seem to have the effects of it now.
He was the Rocket before the Rocket.
And then Art Shell was never a Rocket.
No.
He was the Rock before the Rock. You talk about a good feeling when you're a coach knowing you had that guy at left tackle when you went out there on that field.
Couldn't see the other team around Art Shell. Schrader with good time. Overthrow. Willie Gault, the intended receiver, defended by Don Griffin.
Hey, they're starting to boo Jay Schrader now because that's one that he probably should have had because he does have good protection here. Watch Roger Craig. You know, Roger Craig has not only been a good runner and a good pass receiver, but he is also a good blocker. You see what he did? That the guy he had a block there was Michael Carter. He's looking down, and then they let one go, and the guy's 350 pounds, and he still can't get his hat adjusted after that.
Somehow that'll make you take your eyes off the target. Roger Craig high steps it inside the 40. 11 yards to Craig stopped by Darren Jordan and Todd Bowles.
All they needed was some of those cobwebs knocked out by Carter, and that kind of got him going. This looked like the old Roger Craig. Watch that. Knees up there, high stepping through there, eyes wide, seeing everything, feeling everything, moving every part of your body, just keeping everything going till you get a first down.
He was telling us yesterday how bad his knee had been. Then he showed us that knee. It was a horrible looking sight.
Oh, yeah, and he said it used to look worse. He said it was bigger than a grapefruit.
Yeah.
He said he had a knee that looked, he said guys would come around just to look at it and laugh at it, so it looked like a grapefruit.
Roger cut down this time before he can get back to the line of scrimmage by Romanowski. Loss of a yard.
You see Romanowski in there, and you see DeLong in there playing with a broken thumb. There's a lot of talk that the 49ers may be making a trade for Tim Harris, with a Green Bay Packer linebacker. Romanowski is playing on one side now, and on the other side it's Haley, and then DeLong and Michael Walter in the middle.
Romanowski, I would guess he stung a muscle in his shoulder. That's what it looks like. That was Nick Bell in motion. Schrader to throw it. Pass complete to Bell. To about the 34, a gain of only 4. Mark Lee made the stop. Schrader slow getting up.
I think sometimes the quarterback just gets knocked down, Pat, and he likes to get down there and stay close to the grass and just think for a while, because Jay Schrader really hasn't gotten into the flow yet today, and he hasn't gotten his confidence, he hasn't gotten his momentum. He really hasn't gotten things going yet. And sometimes you get knocked down, you just kind of stay down there on the knee. You know, you take a knee and you think, okay, what am I doing? What do I have to do? I just completed it. You know, you try and sort things out, put things together.
No doubt about it, you think better on your knee.
The closer, because there's oxygen coming out of that grass.
Here's Schrader back to throw. Incomplete, but a flag is down. Willie Gault. Kevin Lewis was the 49er defender, and Schrader now is holding his arm.
Yeah, now that's not one of thinking. That one is that he got banged somewhere, and he's just trying to get some air back into his chest. He threw this one right in Willie Gault's hand. Look at that. That ball's right there, and it goes right through. I don't see where the pass interference is. I see a good pass and a drop ball and pretty good coverage by Lewis.
That's only the second penalty of the game. It gives the Raiders a 1st and 10 at the 49ers 16. Smith and Bell are the two backs. That's Bell. Perhaps a yard. Darren Jordan, who's playing today in place of Michael Walter, made the stop along with Ted Washington.
He's an interesting story. Darren Jordan, he was plan B from the Raiders. Played in the playoff and championship game with the Raiders. The Raiders left him on plan B. He got married in the offseason, and his wife is a surgeon. And she got assigned to Highland Hospital in Oakland, so he said, I'll sign with the 49ers.
We have the 2-minute warning coming up. This is a timeout, however. The 49ers have 2 turnovers to none for the Raiders. Jerry Rice has not caught a pass for the 49ers. In fact, none have been thrown in his direction. And most of the damage for both teams has been done on the ground, and that hasn't been a lot. 2nd and 9. Schrader back to throw. Tim Brown inside the 5. Mark Lee was the cover man for the 49ers, but it's a 1st down.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to get the ball in those hands one way, and then you keep getting in their hands. They do a reverse, and then they hit them on a pass.
2-minute warning. 49ers 3, Raiders 3. Huge crowd on hand at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 3-3 tie score. 49ers and the Raiders. 92,000 plus. 1st and goal from just outside the 3. The 49ers have 1 timeout remaining. The Raiders have all of theirs. Roger Craig is the deep back. Roger gets the carry. Chased out of bounds at the 5. Lost at 2. John Johnson.
I tell you, that was a heck of a play by John Johnson. He's a rookie. To watch him chase Roger Craig down, because here he has good blocking at the point of attack. He has a corner there. The only guy that's going to get him in the backfield there is Johnson, and he catches him from behind. That was a big, big play.
2nd and goal from the 5 now. Schrader to throw. Blitz coming. The pass is deflected. John Johnson again.
I'll tell you, he's having a heck of a goal line stand here. John Johnson is playing on the right side, and he gets Roger Craig. Then he goes over to the left side. Watch him. Jay Schrader is looking right at his receiver all the way. Johnson is coming into his face, so he sees Schrader, so he knows when the ball is being released, and he just gets his hands up and knocks it down. Here's 2 big goal line plays by our rookie.
3rd and goal from the 5. Minute 16 left to play in the first half. 3-3 tie. Big Art Shell and Terry Robisky, who's his offensive coordinator. That's Brown in motion. Schrader on the draw play. Steve Smith surges down to about the original line of scrimmage, about the 3, and they'll bring up 4th and goal.
The Raiders last week had a 3rd down and 7 or 8, and they ran a draw play, and everyone wondered why. Then they get 3rd down, they run this counter play, you wonder why. To me, 3rd down, this is a passing situation.
That timeout. 1:03 left to play in the first half. The 49ers have no timeouts remaining. It'll be from 21 yards by Jaeger. Gossett the holder. Good. So the Raiders take the lead. 6-3. Nothing but field goals so far. Officially, that was 20 yards in the first half. Very avid 49er fans. Serious about it.
Yeah, you always wonder what they think about when they get up in the morning and they put that on. Yeah, I mean, how do they, at some point, they have to say, well, I think I'll go and put on my 49er jacket and my stupid head.
They got to feel lucky.
Yeah, then they have to look in the mirror and say, yeah, I look good. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
That's me.
Yeah. Fire up that pickup.
Jaeger to kick it off. Spencer Tillman and Dexter Carter back deep for the 49ers. High kick. Tillman. Cut down in a hurry. Sam Grady down on the coverage. The Raiders lead the 49ers 6-3 with 57 seconds left to play in the first half. First half. And the 49ers out of timeouts. Rice in motion. Young back to throw it. Dumps it over the middle to John Taylor, incomplete.
Yeah, if you look at the 49ers the first half, there we got a little action. You know, if someone's going to be in, it's going to be Howie Long. And the other side is going to be Steve Wallace, too. But the 49ers haven't thrown the ball in the first half to Jerry Rice. They've only completed 1 pass to John Taylor for 6 yards. So if you say, why do the 49ers only have 3 points in the first half, that's a big reason.
2nd and 10. Young to throw down. Complete at the 45 to Mike Sherrard. And again, they go quickly. Out of timeouts, no huddle. 22-yard gain. Remember last week against the Rams just before the half. They tied the score. Young to throw it. Gets it out to Dexter Carter this time. For a gain of 9. Robinson on the stop. And again they hustle up to the line of scrimmage. Second and 1. Young stops the clock with 16 seconds left to play.
See, this is tough because they used all their timeouts on defense down there trying to stop the Raiders, so they have to make this drive without any timeouts, and they need another completion and then get out of bounds to kick the field goal, or another completion, then stop the clock by throwing the ball down. You know, one of the things that a Ronnie Lott brings you is watch when Mike Sherrard caught that pass. Now he's getting up. Ronnie Lott knows that he's trying to get back to go a no huddle, so he grabs and holds on to Sherrard, not letting him get back to the line.
Third down. Young flushed out of the pocket. Gets the ball to Keith Henderson, who can't get out of bounds. Now they got to really hurry to stop the clock. 4 seconds.
There's no way they can stop this.
That's the end of the first half then, with the score: the Raiders 6, the 49ers 3.
It was like neither team got started. It's interesting at the end there, just before the half, when the Raiders had the ball down there on third down, they ran a counter play. I thought that they had an opportunity to score a touchdown, which could have put the 49ers in a bigger hole. The 49ers, it's interesting, they have a couple interceptions from Steve Young, but they didn't punt in the first half. Now, usually when you don't punt, that means you score a lot of points. But they didn't punt in the first half, and they didn't score any points. And probably the biggest thing is they haven't gotten the ball to Jerry Rice. I mean, I think if you take all the players in the league, or at least all the receivers, he's probably the biggest game breaker in the game. And if you have that on your team, you just have to get him the ball. There's no excuses for not getting the ball to him.
The 49ers obviously have been very effective in making whatever adjustments need to be made at the half, because they've only given up in 4 games prior to this, in the second half, 3 points. So that speaks well for George Seifert and the coaching staff and the adjustments that they make, although they've only given up 6 in the first half here.
Yeah, and then you look at this side, and Art Shell, and you know, his record here as a head coach in the Coliseum is 15-2. So the things that he does and the Raiders do here at home, they seem to do well. And I think it's something that first half, it's like Jay Schrader didn't get anything going. And here it looks like George Seifert's coming in as a late arrival there that was really putting some thought on what he has to do in the second half. He almost missed part of it. He doesn't have a headset or anything yet. He doesn't even, he's probably not too worried because his team's kicking off.
That's what we were talking about a minute ago, what they've done without scoring their opponents. However, the Raiders will get the first shot.
I wonder why he was so late coming out there. His whole team was who would he have been talking to?
I can only think of one reason. Outside the 20. First half possessions for the Raiders started at their own 21, their own 17, their own 41. They punted once. They got 2 field goals. And that's been the story of their scoring. It's twice as many as the 49ers had. 6-3 they lead. Now the head coach is ready. Or maybe. First and 10. Raiders at their own 23. Raiders back to throw on first down. Complete. Mervin Fernandez. A gain of 14. Mark Lee made the stop.
Now you talk about Jerry Rice on the 49ers. Mervin Fernandez is that guy in the Raiders, and you know, he's their top receiver, the possession guy, has the best hands on the team, maybe one of the best hands in football. And you know, they talk about things that they have to do, and that's one of the things. You know, get the ball to the outside, spread it out, work that comeback area. That's
always been a Raider philosophy. First and 10 at the 36. Hand off to Craig. Craig wrapped up after he got a couple by Larry Roberts. He was the first one there.
Well, you see Romanowski is back in. Remember, just before the half, they were taking him into the locker room, and whatever it was, he seems to be okay. They thought it was a slight concussion early, but Bill Romanowski is back playing that outside linebacker.
Howie Long.
You know, as a big guy, you have to be a pretty good athlete just to do that. I mean, you have to be able to have pretty good knees and bend your knees to be able to sit on your helmet. Usually little guys sit on their helmet. But when you see a big guy, a big defensive lineman that can sit on their helmet, you got a pretty agile guy.
Snap, false start. 66
I don't know how the helmet feels about it.
Second down.
Well, the helmet has to feel pretty good about it because it's going to, get in there and get some action too. And the player has to feel pretty good that he's not hurting the helmet because that helmet has to protect him.
That's the Raiders' first penalty of the day. It was Steve Wright who moved. Brings up second down and...
Yeah, that's an amazing fact right there that's the first penalty on the Raiders for the second half.
13 they need for a first down. Schrader back to throw it. Under pressure. Chased and out of there. Jay Schrader slides to about the 37. Feet first. A gain of 4.
Now watch Charles Haley here. We talked about this earlier that they have to know where Haley is. They always want to get an offensive lineman on him, but that's not enough if that guy is just one guy. You see Wright tried to turn him out, but Haley is agile enough that as he turned him out, he could come back in and get a hand on Schrader and force him or flush him out of the pocket. See, now here's where he lined up in the first half. 20 times on the left side, 3 times in the middle, 5 times on the right. So what they try and do is move Haley all over so that you can't anticipate where he's going to be.
3rd and 9. Everybody that plays against the 49ers says we have to find out where 94 is.
And the Raiders just got another 5-yard penalty. That one was for too much time. They spent too much time trying to figure out where Charles Haley is because they've really done a pretty good job on him in the first half. Charles Haley doesn't have any tackles yet today. But that doesn't mean he's not a force. That doesn't mean that someone down there has their work cut out trying to block him.
And he's occupying 2 most of the time. Schrader back to throw it. Again, he's up into the pocket. And throws behind Tim Brown. Brown was cracked in the back. But okay.
Both these quarterbacks have had some guys open today, Pat, and just have thrown bad passes. I mean, Steve Young has done it, and he's thrown 2 interceptions too, and Jay Schrader's doing it. I mean, he should have hit Brown on that play.
Whitmore made the hit, and it shook him up too.
You just watch him. He's getting pressure from his right side, so he scrambles out a little, buys the time, and he has it wide open. He just has to lead him a little more, and he threw it behind him, and Tim Brown really took a crack.
Gossett back deep. Beach back for the 49ers. Not his best. Hooked it out of bounds at about the 41 where the 49ers will take over. 27-yard punt by Gossett. 6-3 here at the Coliseum. The Raiders over the 49ers. From Steve Young. Other scores, the Buffalo remains unbeaten. 35-20. The Bears no longer unbeaten. Tampa Bay still 0-5. Detroit improves to 4-1. That's their best record since 1980. The New Orleans Saints unbeaten. Dallas moves to 3-2. The Giants slip to 2-3. First down, 49ers. Young to throw on first down. Incomplete. In the direction of Rice. Well covered.
Well, they're trying to get the ball to Rice, because if you don't get it to him early, then he gets down a little. And you see what the Raiders want to do is get right up on him and hit him. You know, not let him do what he wants to. You see number 36, Terry McDaniel, has been doing a good job on Jerry Rice. And as Ronnie Lott says, the key to Jerry Rice, if there's one, is you don't let him just run a pattern. You don't let him do it the way he wants to. And someone has been doing a good job all day because he hasn't caught a pass.
McDaniel with him wherever he goes. Dexter Carter over the right side picked up perhaps 3. And again, a little shoving match going on. Moss and one of the 49ers.
Well, you know, the Raiders have always had this thing, and a number of teams have had this thing about the 49er linemen, because they say that they leg whip. And they're not going to take any leg whipping, and other teams have said that about the 49ers. So they come into this game before they ever play it down. The linemen, the front group, they come in with a little vendetta going.
3rd down, 7. Young to throw it. This time he has some protection. He's thrown behind. I believe it was John Taylor. Was Taylor. Winston Moss close by.
You know, I think he could have gotten the ball to Jerry Rice. I think they're trying, Pat. I think in calling the plays, watch Rice. Here you see McDaniel on him. Now he goes in motion, so that takes McDaniel off him. See how McDaniel's behind him? Now he comes, and had Rice kept coming around here and Steve Young waited, he could have hit him in there. But maybe he didn't have time. And I'll tell you, the Raider defense is doing a good job on not letting Rice do it.
First 49er punt of the day, and it's a good one by Moshenko. Into the end zone. So the Raiders will operate for the second time on offense, this time from their own 20. 6-3 they lead. Going into the 11th inning, Minnesota has clinched. 6-3 here at the Coliseum. Schrader out to Fernandez. 4 or 5. Mark Lee, the defender.
You know, there's a guy who was a free agent just a couple weeks ago. He's a 12-year veteran in the National Football League. Mark Lee played all those years with the Green Bay Packers. They cut him on the last cut. And he said then he started getting calls all over, and he was staying in hotels, and he was in Kansas City, and his lawyer was talking. Anyway, he finally ended up as a happy 49er, and now he's a starting left corner.
2nd and 5. Fernandez on the move. Coming after Schrader, and he's going to Galt. Got a Raider first down and more. Pickup of 22 yards to Willie Galt, Don Griffin.
That's the one thing, you know, if Schrader can get his accuracy, he does have time. He does have some receivers open. You see Galt just turns Griffin around, then he works back a little, and he had that whole quarter of the field. And one thing, Schrader is getting time on his passes. He's getting good pass protection.
Willie Galt just made his first reception of the day. First down at their own 47 for the Raiders. Bell, the motion man. Schrader's going to throw again. Sets up the screen to Smith. I beg your pardon. Steve Smith inside the 49-40. Finally tripped up by Dennis Brown. 14-yard gain.
That's what they have to do. You know, just get something going. Just keep things going for Jay Schrader. You saw he had pass protection. He hit the one to Willie Galt. Now they're starting to feel pretty good. Now they come back with a screen here to Smith. You see the 2 linemen get out in front, and the 49ers only have one guy up there. He gets blocked. The guy coming from the outside misses. So Smith picks up about 5 more yards.
1st and 10 at the 39-yard line of San Francisco. Schrader. Roger Craig, left side, stopped by Romanowski.
I would think with this 49er defense now, and they got that pass rush slowed down, I would think if I were the Raiders, I would just go pass on every down. Because I don't think that they have to run anymore. I think if Jay Schrader can have some accuracy, they can get something done.
Jim Burt playing defense now for the 49ers as Carter gets a rest. Burt just signed last Wednesday. 2nd and 6. Raiders to Craig. Roger Craig gets inside the 35 and is knocked back. Hit by Darren Jordan.
Carter looked like he started back in and then went back out. Maybe Burt waved him off, said he's okay. Well, what happens, it's a 3rd down, so they don't use a nose tackle on this situation. See, I don't know why the Raiders, you know, they threw that pass to Galt, then they come back with a screen, then they run 2, and they don't make anything. I think the way the 49ers are playing defense, they're much easier to throw on today.
3rd down and 4. Smith is the lone setback. The reverse comes again to Tim Brown. And Brown is going to be short of the 1st down. Just shy of the 30. He needed to get to about the 29-28. Lewis and Griffin.
Of course, that is, you know, a strange thing because they hit a couple passes and then they just get too conservative, I think. You know, when they get close to the goal line, I think somewhere, you know, and it's easy to say when you're standing up here, and you know, but somewhere you just have to keep throwing it.
Coaching booth of the Raiders. Jeff Jager into the game for the Raiders. He'll try to increase the Raider lead with a 49-yard attempt. Gossett to hold it. Any leg. And it's good. 9-3. The Raiders over the 49ers. 6:12 left, 3rd quarter. Six minutes, 12 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Raiders got a 49-yard field goal from Jager, and they lead now 9-3. Haley upset about something.
Now, he's not getting much help on that pass rush, and I think he probably feels pretty good. The Raiders tried to run free in there.
Spencer Tillman fights his way out to about the 27, stopped by Dan Land.
They got a new deal here now, Pat. I've never seen this one. They got oxygen. Then they got these things there. Their showers are called Mr. Breeze. And they just put water, just a breeze down on the players. So, you know, it used to be you had a water bucket out there. Now you got oxygen out there. You got your breeze stuff. You got hoses. You can get it where it comes down on top of you. You drink. You got everything going.
It's almost like not playing.
Oh, you just turn it on there. It's like being in a spa or something.
Dexter Carter. Carter almost broke it. Out to the 48, a gain of 21. Eddie Anderson tripped him up finally.
You know, it's a funny thing here. The 49ers only have 3 points, but the thing that they do, they're successful running. The Raiders, I think, are successful passing.
Which is just the opposite of what you'd think.
Yeah, you would think that the 49ers would be a little more, be doing a little more passing, especially getting the ball to Jerry Rice. I still can't believe that they've played this long and not gotten the ball to Jerry Rice.
49ers have 109 yards on the ground and 15 carries. Carter, flag on the play.
That'll stop a drive right there.
You know what it is.
Yep, that umpire throws it from behind the defensive line. Going to be offensive holding.
Very few penalties in the game so far.
Holding, 66 offense, 1st down.
I don't think they have a 66.
No, I don't think so. No, probably 67. Watch the right guard, 67, right in the middle of the screen. That's probably who they call.
I don't know.
Well, if they say 66 and they don't have one, you have to say, well, maybe it's 67. Has the number off.
Phantom Hill. Henry Williams. Raiders up in a hurry. He struggles back to about the 45. Terry McDaniel is the cover man. Pass completion got 5 yards.
And Jay Schrader back there with the baseball hat on, thinking about, you know, what he has to do when he gets back in there again. And I think they had something going when they hit Willie Gault, come back with a screen pass. I would have gone back to Gault or Fernandez again. And if I were this team somewhere, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but somewhere I'd get Jerry Rice the ball.
Second down. Young fakes to Carter. Had a little time to John Taylor, and it's jarred loose. Ronnie Lott. Boy, how many times have you seen him do that in a different colored jersey?
Yeah, and they always say that he doesn't have the speed and he's losing speed. But there's something about speed. When the ball's in the air, this guy has the speed to get there. He has the speed and the know-how. And then when he gets there, he knows how to do something about it. Watch that. Steve Young had to throw it right at that point. If he held it any longer, Aaron Wallace was going to get him with the ball.
Young is 9 out of 18 for 82 yards. 3rd and 15. Now you better stay with Jerry Rice. Flag on the play right at the line of scrimmage. This is Dexter Carter. He'll have a 49er first down. But a flag on the play on the other side of the field. Eddie Anderson made the stop with an assist from Lionel Washington, who's still down.
I think the penalties against the 49ers, Steve Young almost did a backflip when he saw the signal. That's his second drive stopper. The first one was a holding penalty.
Illegal motion, number 80 offense. 3rd down.
Jerry Rice was split wide to the left.
He was right in front of the official who called it.
Right.
And, you know, I think when you don't get the ball to Jerry Rice, I know when Bill Walsh was there, he used to always feel you want to get it to him early to get him in the game. So the opposite of that may mean that if you don't get him the ball early, you lose them at a certain point, and maybe they're starting to lose Jerry Rice.
3rd and 20. Blitz coming. That's the Henderson, and Henderson will come nowhere close to a first down. Flag on the play. Hold everything. This might be a face mask, and it could be a first down.
Hey, that was a screen pass. There was only one man. Jesse Sapula, the center, was the only man out there in the screen. There was about 4 or 5 Raider players and only one 49er blocker.
We have a face mask, 5-yard foul on the defense. 3rd down.
Not an automatic first down, but at least they don't have as far to go for the first.
Yeah, see, and there's 2 kinds of face mask penalties. There's the 5 and the unnecessary roughness, which is 15. And that was just the 5, so that brings them 3rd, and as you say, like 7, and they get another shot at it.
Unintentional is 5. If you mean to do it, it's 15 and a first.
Or if you do it and then hold on to it and then do something else with it after you've done it, then you get to 15.
3rd down. They need 6. Young. Intended for Henderson, incomplete. Too far for a field goal. Winston Moss, the defender.
Hey, Steve Young did his job on that. He got the ball out there to Carter. He did a couple things, got first downs, and the thing that killed the 49ers drive that time were penalties.
And Howie Long put the heat on Steve Young.
And I think now you have to give the coverage to the Raiders. If you just watch there, you see Rice wanted the ball deep, but those guys are on him like blankets. So when you look here, there's nothing to throw to out there.
Osienko back to punt. Tim Brown standing at about the 12. Line drive over the head of Tim Brown. Into the end zone. They'll bring it back to the 20. 47-yard punt. The Raiders lead at 9-3. At the Los Angeles Coliseum, Pat Summerall with John Madden, 2:46 left to play, 3rd quarter. The Raiders lead the visiting 49ers 9-3.
You know, the interesting thing, Pat, the last time they played in regular season, that was the final score. That's when Bill Walsh was coaching, and the Raiders beat them in Candlestick. The Raiders beat the 49ers 9-3, and Bill Walsh has always said that was the low point of his career. After that game, he and Eddie DeBartolo had a big meeting.
First down, Raiders at the 20. 3, perhaps. Tripped up by Waymer.
You know, Craig, after, you know, when you get into the third and fourth quarter, he always looks like a warrior because he goes in there and he gives you everything to hit. You know, some guys, they get bent down and you have nothing but helmet, shoulder pads, and knees. Craig gives you a lot of number to hit and a lot of waist and a lot of thigh to hit.
2nd and 7. Craig in motion. Schrader with Ethan Horton. 10-yard gain, first down Raiders. Stopped by Darren Jordan.
Watch Jay Schrader here. You know, Don Mosbar is 6'6", but watch how much he bends his knees here. And watch how low. Here's Schrader's hands here. He has to get way down there. He really has to bend his knees. I've never seen a guy as tall as Mosbar get as low as he does on that snap. And Jay Schrader says, I'm not going to tell him to raise up a little. I'm going to tell him, you just be comfortable and I'll adjust to you. But look how much Schrader has to bend his knees.
His hands way below his knees. Pass to Galt is complete. Willie Galt lands at about the 45 and a flag on the play. Don Griffin, the defender.
Everyone loves to rough up Willie Galt. You know, Willie Galt is a speed guy. He's the guy, so they think that they can be tough with him. And sometimes they take that to an extra degree. There, the ball is out of bounds, and the whistle's blowing.
Personal foul on
And he kept going.
Number 29 on the defense. First down.
You know, I don't think it's that bad, though. I mean, he really starts out. He just finishes off his tackle. It's not like he's going out and hitting him out of bounds. I mean, he just started the tackle inbounds and then finished it off.
They had the replay on the big scoreboard down at the end of the top of the Coliseum, and Don Griffin took a big look up there to see what I did wrong.
Yeah, I think they're a little too picky on some of those things today.
Roger Craig, left side, stopped again by Jordan, but he got 6.
You know, it's funny, Roger Craig has been a pretty big part of this game so far. Made a big play in the first half on a reception that set up a field goal. Ronnie Lott has been a big part. Remember down there in the goal line stand, he made a big play on that first down. So sometimes you lose a player and they do come back to haunt you. That's what you're always worried about.
They have in mind coming back to haunt you. Schrader chased, incomplete, intended for Smith.
That's the Raiders' form of a bootleg. You fake and you try and sneak your fullback through there, and usually he's either covered well like that or he's wide open. That time he didn't have anything to throw to.
Number 12 there is Todd Marinovich. They were really excited about his future.
Well, he was a #1 draft choice, of course, of the Raiders. Only played 2 years at USC, so he's a young one who you can really bring along. He's the 46th player on the squad, so that means he could not play unless both quarterbacks got hurt.
They need 4 for a first down. Could have it. It's going to be close. Galt made the reception. Lewis is number 45 for the 49ers.
Look at all these moves that he makes in a 4-yard reception. He's going to start on and out. Now when the ball doesn't come, when you start one way, start it in, and then you start one way and the ball doesn't come, instead you can either go deep or you can go back the other way. That's what Willie Galt did, and he got a first down. He started in, stopped, and then came back out.
Got out of bounds, stopped the clock with 2 seconds remaining in the third quarter. And now that is the end of the third quarter with the score. The Raiders 9, the 49ers 3. Then it's Murder, She Wrote. And then the CBS Sunday movie, Mission of the Shark. A tragic but true story. Schrader gives to Steve Smith. On first down, they got a couple, and that's about it.
You know, it's interesting. You see number 27 there, Mark Lee, on the 49ers, and the Raiders really haven't worked on him, and he kind of expected it. He's a 12-year veteran. He said that he learned in the National Football League that they work on you on your way in, and they work on you on your way out. He said when you're in the middle, they kind of leave you alone, but they work on rookies and old guys, and they really haven't worked today on Mark Lee at all.
Hernandez is split wide right. Second down, Schrader to throw. Has some time, but now is flushed out of the pocket and goes out of bounds. Back at about the 23-yard line. A loss of 4.
You know, Mervin Fernandez was split out wide there, and he was out there on Mark Lee, and he was the guy that Schrader was trying to throw to, and Mark Lee had good coverage, and sometimes, most of the time, a lineman will flush a quarterback out of the pocket, but sometimes good coverage will flush a quarterback out of the pocket.
Brings up a third down situation. Just over 14 minutes left to play, and the Raiders leading 9-3. Third and 12. They're in field goal range now. Middle screen handled by Nick Bell. Bell hammers down inside the 25 to about the 24. A gain of 9. Not enough for a first down, but closer for Jaeger.
You know, Charles Haley was coming on a stunt, and he almost fell into catching that pass to Nick Bell. He was an end, and he started stunning in over the middle, and he just kind of stopped, and he was right there, and Jay Schrader did a good job of keeping the ball away from Haley. Watch Haley. He's the outside guy, 94. Now watch him. He'll stop, then he starts to work back. And just as that ball's thrown, it goes right by Haley.
41-yard attempt by Jaeger. Plenty long enough again, and good again. We'll return to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. This Memorial Coliseum, over 90,000 on hand. The Raiders lead it 12-3, 12:53 left to play. Jaeger's 4 for 4. That's all the points. Carter and Tillman. Cobra hit for the 49ers. It's going to be Carter. Stepped on the goal line. Gets out to about the 18. So he's tripped up by Napoleon McCollum. They've gotten 3 points, have the 49ers. Jerry Rice still has not caught a pass. They've had 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 1 sack, 196 total yards.
You know, it's not only Rice, and you know, it's always a combination of Rice being lead, but Rice and Taylor. And Taylor on the other side has only caught 1 pass for 6 yards. And those are the guys that you have to win the games with.
Rice at the bottom of your picture. Stopped by Scott Davis. Greg Townsend also put the heat on. No gain.
Well, that was Greg Townsend, and you're right. He comes from the outside. Watch 93 right there. See, no one blocks him. So when Steve Young starts to bootleg or move out to his left, there is Townsend unblocked. So now he has to move back to the middle and outside, and he doesn't have a chance to go anywhere nor throw the ball.
That makes it 2nd and 10. In the slot to the right this time. Young back to throw. Again, Townsend close close by. Pass caught by Rice. That's when he is so dangerous. Get him the ball, and then he is a wonderful runner.
Well, everyone says that, Jerry Rice is going to catch his passes, but what you have to do is tackle him after he catches it. Terry McDaniel's done an excellent job most of the day on him, but this is the first pass that Jerry Rice caught. And that time, of course, was Lionel Washington was on him, but most of the day McDaniel had been on him.
3rd and 3. 11 and a half minutes left to play in the 4th quarter. Raiders leading 12-3. Young gets it to Rathman this time. Rathman gets the first down out to about the 34. Lionel Washington made the stop. A gain of 8.
I think they were trying to get the ball. In fact, they're shortening Jerry Rice's pattern. That time he ran a crossing pattern at about 2 or 3 yards deep. And, they were trying deeper, and now they're just shortening them, just trying somehow to get the ball to them. So they are trying to do it, but the Raider coverage has been excellent today.
First down, 49ers at their own 34. Young throwing again to Taylor, incomplete. Steve Young was saying to us last night that he's getting closer to the communication that a quarterback and a receiver have to have. Sometimes he still misreads, he says, or they misunderstand each other. The eye contact or whatever it is not there.
Yeah, and he said he thought that it was coming, but if it was, it's really been lost because he hasn't had that communication with Rice and Taylor today. And again, the Raiders secondary has had a lot to do with that because they haven't been open that much either.
2nd and 10. Over the head of Rice, who is turned upside down by McDaniel, and he is still down.
Hey, that's one thing that you can't do to a receiver. You can't throw that ball that high because once he gets like that, see, he is completely exposed. He got hit, and where he really got it is when he hit the ground. He knows that ball is high, and he goes up for Jerry Rice. Now, he knows he's exposed. And see, right here, he's trying to gather himself up. He was getting ready for the forward for going down front ways, and he went down backward.
Landed right on his head. Jerry Rice. The Raiders lead at 12-3.
This game summary is sponsored by McDonald's.
Jaeger has all the points for the Raiders. Jerry Rice hurt but left the field on his own power. Just a moment ago, he walked off by himself. Here's Young back to throw it again on 3rd down. Taylor. Incomplete. Ronnie Lott was the defender.
When we talked to Ronnie Lott yesterday, he says we know how to stop him. And one way that Ronnie Lott has always stopped anyone is by hitting him, by being physical. There's two kinds of tough guys. One kind is a smart, tough guy. That's where Ronnie Lott has always been. Smart and tough is a great combination.
What's the other kind?
Dumb and tough.
That's not a good combination.
No, that's when you hit guys out of bounds, and they score and you do something stupid and, clip after the play and stuff like that.
Brown handles the punt at about the 14. Ken Brown to the 35. Almost broke it. Greg Cox tripped him up. 52-yard punt, 21-yard return by Brown.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? The U.S. Army, where you get an edge on life. Be all you can be. And by Holiday Inn Hotels. Holiday Inn. Stay with someone you know.
Back at the Coliseum, Pat Summerall with John Madden. Jerry Rice talking on the phone now, so obviously he's not seriously injured.
I think he's still checking his parts. Did you see him there? He was talking on the phone with one hand, holding the phone with one, and checking his legs and stuff with the other after that hit by Terry McDaniel.
That's Bell in motion, and Schrader back to throw it. Complete. Intended for Brown.
One thing, the 49ers are starting to get closer to Schrader now. Earlier, he had more time, and the offensive line of the Raiders were doing an excellent job of pass protection. Now they're starting to get a little more push on Schrader, so he's not having that time that he had earlier.
Brings up 2nd and 10. Raiders lead 12-3. 4 field goals by Baker, 1 by Cofer.
He sure did. That was an audible, too. So on the audible, then you're going to take longer, so the defense has to hold longer.
Encroachment, number 94 defense prior to the snap. Second down.
Just watch Haley. You see, that's been after an audible. And Schrader was up there. No one else moved. There's nothing that moves at all. Haley's just out there. I think Charles Haley is another great player who has become frustrated towards the end of this game.
Well, when you get double teamed all the time, as he does, that leads to frustration.
Yeah, and then yeah, losing the game too. You know,
sure.
You get double teamed all the time and you win. It's not as frustrating as double teamed all the time and losing.
Smith got 3 over the left side. They still need 2 for a first down. 3rd and 2. Schrader gets the calls from the sideline from Terry Robisky.
Yeah, what the Raiders are thinking now is to run time off the clock, because with 9 minutes, 48 seconds, they know that the longer they can keep the ball, then the 49ers don't have that many shots at them, and the 49ers need 2 scores.
3rd and 2. Schrader again, chased out of the pocket. Dives and gets the first down. Like he took a glance at that first down marker, decided I need a little bit more, and vaulted for it.
Yeah, he did, and he could feel Charles Haley. Watch Charles Haley down here at the bottom of the screen. He is really going to be coming here. He comes. Schrader sees him right there. Now he gets away from Haley. Now the reason he's going to go there is he knows Haley's right behind him. He can feel that. He's saying, go, go, go. And he saw that marker. He saw this right there. He could feel Haley from behind and the guy in front. And he had the 3 things going there and got the first down.
Big first down. Clock running now with 8:45 left. Bell. Another first down for the Raiders. Romanowski tripped him up. 11 yards for Bell.
David Whitmore is in there now for Dave Waymer. Waymer, of course, was the veteran safety that took Ronnie Lott's place when he left. He got dinged a little, and so now they have David Whitmore in there. Yeah, that was a great decision. Yep, I'm going to put that one on and take this sign. That's what I'm going to do today.
8 minutes left. First down Raiders at the 49er 42. Schrader with time. Gets the juggling pass complete to Smith. John Johnson.
Smith didn't even see it, Pat. He was there. He didn't even see it. You see that? He was there standing there. Schrader had to get rid of the ball. He just threw that in there, and Smith comes up with it.
He just all of a sudden found a ball.
Yeah, just watch here. Now, again, it's pretty good pass protection. See, Smith has his back to him. He turns around. It's almost intercepted by DeLong there. It goes through DeLong's hands and into Steve Smith's hands.
2nd down and 4. Bell again. Bell dragged down, looks like a little bit shy of the first down by Waymer, who's back, and Larry Roberts.
Yeah, I think the Raider fans are going to hear a lot more of this Nick Bell. I know when I went to training camp, the Raiders were really impressed with him, and they took a shot on him in the second round, and some people thought he was injured, but the Raiders and Al Davis were just looking for a big running back, and they got him. They were really excited about him.
And he is big.
And he had a big day in Japan when he pulled the hamstring. This is the first time he's played since then.
That's a big hamstring.
There's Marcus Allen. You talk about a guy who's been good over a long period of time and a real tough guy. It's Marcus Allen. I think when you talk about those backs that could do it all, you know, that you don't have to take out when you pass, or you don't have to take out in short yardage and goal line. Marcus Allen always has been one of those guys.
Like Roger Craig was, and still is.
I'll tell you, though, if I had to take one, I'd take that Barry Sanders at Detroit.
Oh, boy.
Just leave him on every down and maybe never throw it to him anyway.
By the way, the Rams beating the Packers. Packer quarterback Don Majkowski injured his shoulder and is out of that game. It was his left shoulder, by the way. Third and short. Smith. Fumble. And the 49ers come up with it. Charles Haley got the loose ball.
That's what the 49ers had to do. They had to get the ball back because they know they need 2 scores. So you have the short yardage. Now you got to get penetration, get someone on that ball. You see who that someone is? It's Jim Burt, number 64, who they just activated today. He's the guy that hit Smith and knocked the ball out of there, and Haley comes up with it.
Burt got his shoulder on the ball and knocked it loose. Jim Burt. Burt rhymes with dirt. He caused the fumble.
Yeah, here he was before the game. Now, Pierce Holt is number 78. He's kind of showing them what we've been doing. See, Jim Burt hasn't been in training camp or anything. And Pierce Holt's telling him, this is what we've been doing all these months. And then Burt says, here's what I've been doing. Now, how golf and playing nose tackle go together, I have no idea. But that's the thought process of a nose tackle.
Well, they were talking about the Ryder Cup. Flag on the play as Young gets it up to his tight end, Jamie Williams. That would be enough, or almost enough, for a first down. Benson and Ricky Ellison. Tom Dooley, the referee.
Offside. Defensive left end. Penalty is declined. First down.
Was enough for a first down. The completion from Young to Williams. Those are the Ryder Cup golf results earlier today. The United States wins the Ryder Cup, brings it back for the first time since 1983. 14.5 to 13.5. Very dramatic final day.
I'll tell you, that was a big play by Jim Burt getting that ball back for the 49ers, because the Raiders were in a mode of just running out the clock, and now the 49ers still have to get 2 scores, but at least they have the ball.
They're reviewing now the placement of the ball. I thought he didn't have enough for the first down, and then they moved the chains. Now that's what they're reviewing. They didn't ask me.
You know, that guy comes in and just drops his foot someplace, and that's where they spot the ball. They've never been real scientific on this area of football.
That's always been something that's been.
We have a reversal on the end of the run. It will be 2nd down and 1 on the 39-yard line.
So take away the first down, it'll be 2nd and 1.
Yeah, you can see that Jamie Williams never did cross that line. He caught the ball and never got across that line.
reset the clock. 6 minutes, 15 seconds left to play in this game, with the Raiders leading the 49ers 12-3. Second down and 1. Young to Taylor. At the Raider 25, Lionel Washington made the stop on Taylor after a pickup of 36 yards, and the 49ers hurry up.
And the 49ers are going with no huddle here again because they know that they need 2 scores. This is a perfect strike on the post to John Taylor.
Jerry Rice out of bounds at about the 11 by McDaniel. They can hurt you in a hurry.
And everyone's going to say, if you can do it this easy at the end of the game, why didn't you do it like that all day? That's what they had to do. And if the 49ers are going to move the ball offensively, if they're going to win, they have to get the ball to Rice and Taylor. And boom, boom, they did it 2 plays.
Young to throw it. Flag on the play. Out in the flat to Rathman. He's down at the 5.
Well, that play didn't count, Pat, because they blew the whistle. That play was blown. The whistle was blown before he ever threw the ball.
Movement against the 49ers before the play ever got underway.
Yeah, that's the one that when they move, then they just blow the whistle and stop the play right now.
7 times the 49ers have been penalized today for 63 yards.
First down.
I don't think this one is bad because you still have to throw the ball.
1st and 15. Flag on the play.
Penalty flag.
Stop this before it got underway as well.
You know, and this is what's tough. This is where the crowd can get in a football game.
We got a false start on 74 prior to the snap.
And there it is. You know, we talked about Steve Wallace. We talked about his hearing problem. We talked about problems on the road. When Steve Wallace has problems, it's on the road. Because if the crowd is quiet when you have the ball, these things don't happen. They tend to happen to him when he can't hear when the crowd is like this in this type of situation.
That makes it 1st and 20. Carter in motion. Young buys some time. Young out of bounds at about the 10-yard line. Winston Moss knocked him out of bounds and scrambled for an 11-yard gain.
Well, you know, one thing, a lot of quarterbacks can scramble, a lot of quarterbacks can move, but none of them run as fast as Steve Young. I mean, that's the one thing that he has, is not only that scrambling ability, but see here how he pulls it down. Now watch, once he decides there, he just does that just to hold the gun. Once he turns it up here, that's speed right there. I mean, those last 4 or 5 steps is speed steps.
Second down. To Dexter Carter. He's smothered at about the 7. Stopped by Greg Townsend first. Clock running with less than 5 minutes now. In fact, just 4.5 minutes left to play. 3rd and 6.
Well, George Seifert has to remember early in the game that goal line stand. They got down there and they had first down and they couldn't get it in and had to settle for a field goal. His approach has to be different than that approach. Probably like to put that guy in that's on his left with the red shirt, put him in there.
Montana guy?
Yeah, he'd figure out a way to throw it in the end zone. Because remember, you need 2 scores here for the 49ers.
3rd and 6. Incomplete. Intended for Taylor. Lionel Washington. Now they got to go for the field goal because, as you pointed out, they have to have 2 scores.
And these defensive backs and these Raiders have been coming up with big plays all day. Here's another one of them by Lionel Washington. And they need a touchdown and a field goal, so it doesn't make any difference what order. They decide they'll take their field goal now. Then the next time, if they get the ball, they need a touchdown.
So Cofer will try from 25 yards out. 12-6 the score now with 3:54 left to play. The Raiders over the 49ers 12-6. +90,000 at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. That's the score. The Raiders 12, the 49ers 6. All the scoring done by field goal. Dwight Clark, legendary, I guess, 49er receiver.
Well, you know, remember that time they were playing Dallas?
Oh, yeah.
In San Francisco, and that guy right there with the red shirt and the red cap made that throw in the end zone to this guy right here. They still call that the catch.
That's all you need to say.
That's all, the catch. And they could have used the catch down there, but they still need the catch.
Today's game was produced by Robert D. Stinner and directed by Sandy Grossman. The NFL Today was produced by Eric Mann and directed by Duke Struck. Senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Doran, and the executive producer is Ted Shaker. Cofer kicks it away. Bounds into the end zone, down by Jamie Holland. And the Raiders will start from their own 20. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and this CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Los Angeles Raiders, and the National Football League is prohibited.
Well, the Raiders are going to come back here now, Pat, and try and again do what they were trying to do the last time when Jim Burt got penetration, caused a fumble, and the 49ers got the ball back.
Burt, I believe, is resting now, and Carter is back in. Smith and Bell, the two backs. Bell. Enough for a first down. Mark Lee and Todd Bowles had to make the stop on 250-plus pound Nick Bell.
You know, when you have the lead, the first thing you try and do in running out the clock is get it to the 2-minute warning. Then after you get it to the 2-minute warning, then you work it down. Now George Seifert is thinking here, he has all his timeouts. Should he take any before the 2-minute warning? I always believe that you saved them until after the 2-minute warning.
Rader appears to be calling an audible. Gives again to Bell at the line of scrimmage. And right now for a baseball update, let's send you back to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Pat, at Houston, the Braves and the Astros went to 13 innings. In the top of the 13th, Ron Gant off from first. Brian Hunter with a 2-base hit down the left field line. Gant came all the way around to score the eventual game winner. Atlanta wins at 6-5. They move to within a half game of the Dodgers, who host San Francisco tonight. Pat?
All right, Greg, here it's 12-6. The Raiders over the 49ers. We have 2:51 left to play. Nothing but field goals.
You know, I think a lot of excellent defense, too. I think, you know, you see the defensive lineman down there, the Raider defensive lineman talking to Big Earl Leggett, drawing the plays for them. They're probably talking about pass rush, what they have to do with Steve Young, how they have to rush him and contain him. But the defensive secondary of the Raiders, to me, have been the heroes of this game.
They have been excellent, no question about that. They've been physical and they've been close, and Schrader takes a timeout. 2:51 left to play, and Jay Schrader heads for the sideline. 12-6. The Raiders lead the 49ers. The American League Championship Series starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. Major League Baseball here on CBS. Some Major League cookouts and some Major League mist spray.
Yeah, Mr. Breeze. I like it. If you're going to have Breeze, you may as well call it Mr.
Why not? Trader, the blitz is coming. Incomplete. He has had to throw it away. Haley applied some heat.
Well, you watch Haley, Charles Haley. He's number 94 coming from this backside. If you block him, he's going to be tough on your quarterback. If you don't block him, which the Raiders didn't that time, I'll guarantee he's bringing heat. They always say we got to know where Haley is. Well, they know where Haley is, but then you got to better put someone there to block him. They say there he is, and then no one blocks him. I don't know about that.
3rd down and 10. Raiders from their own 30. Raiders down. And the Raiders will have to punt. Dennis Brown. That's the 3rd sack by the 49ers. Let's see if we can check out the pressure.
Well, the 49ers are now getting pressure. They didn't get a lot of pressure in the first half, but now Haley always brings it. Now they're starting to get some push and some pressure up the middle, and those were a couple of big pressure plays by the defensive line. And that big guy right there, I'll tell you, he was the guy that did it, big Dennis Brown.
This is a 49er timeout now. They only have one left. 2:38 left to play.
Well, they have one timeout left, but they will get a timeout here on change of possession. Then they'll get another timeout at the 2-minute warning. So they have one official timeout left, but in essence, they really have 3 timeouts.
Right. Spoken like a coach.
You're always thinking, you don't think a lot about the clock until the last 2 minutes. So just before the last 2 minutes of the half and then the game. And I think in coaching, that's where most of your coaching comes in, is the last 2 minutes of the half, the last 2 minutes of the game.
Steve Young will command the 49er offense when they get the ball. Gossett back to punt. That's Taylor now back to return the punt for San Francisco. It had been beat. Good kick by Gossett. It's going to stay up there a long time. And out of bounds. And again, let's send you back to New York for an update and Greg Gumbel.
Well, Pat, at Anaheim, the Packers are getting close. Blair Keel to Vince Workman for 6 yards, and with the extra point, the Rams lead is cut to 2, 23-21, 4.5 to play in Anaheim. Pat?
49ers will take over here, trailing 12-6 with 2.5 minutes left to play.
Yeah, if we had a blimp here, someone could watch all 3 of the games. They could watch that Ram game down there. You could watch this game, and then you could watch the Dodgers playing.
Right.
Just stay in a blimp in that thing and just fly over and watch all the games.
That's a good thought. Here's Young back to throw it. He has Jerry Rice. Rice gets out of bounds, stops the clock. Terry McDaniel was close. Good throw that time by Young.
Well, you know what happens at the end of the game, the defense starts to play a little softer. You see McDaniel there, he's worried about Rice getting deep, and he went 2 more steps than he had to when Rice made that cut. And you do that because of the cushion to stop the big, quick strike.
49ers have won 12 consecutive games against AFC teams. The last one to do the trick and defeat them was the Raiders. First down. Young to throw. Sherrard this time out of bounds at about the 34-yard line in Raider territory. Wallace slow to get to his feet.
This is a broken coverage right here. They don't get a bump on Sherrard. You saw McDaniel was up on him. He didn't get a bump, and Sherrard ran free. Anderson got over there too late. Young saw it. Perfect pass. Watch the pressure here. Young threw it just when he had to. Howie Long was down below, and Davis was up on top.
Young never saw the completion, that's for sure. First down, 49ers at the Raider 35. Dump is out to Rathman. Rathman stays on his feet down. Enough for a first down inside the 25 to about the 22. 12-yard gain.
Now the 49ers have to think of slowing down the tempo. They know with a score 12-6 that they need a touchdown, but they don't want it too soon. You don't see a lot of stiff arms too much in this league anymore, but you expect it from a guy like Woody Rathman.
First down, 49ers at the Raider 22.
Well, Tom Rathman is an old-fashioned football player.
Isn't he?
Yeah, out of Nebraska, the old fullback type guy. And expect him to play like that.
The blocking type. Carter is the man in motion. Young. Rathman has it knocked loose this time. Raiders are saying it was a fumble. The referees don't agree.
You see the guy that made the hit was Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott was there, and he arrived about the same time as the ball. The Raiders are saying that Rathman caught it and fumbled it. You'll see right there, if he ever had it, hey, that is some hit by Ronnie Lott.
Most hits by Ronnie Lott will get your attention.
Yeah, he'll clear out your sinuses.
Second and 10. Carter with a blocker in front. Much room. Good defensive play by Eddie Anderson. And we'll get the 2-minute warning. Only 3 yards. 12-6 Raiders. Third down. They need 7 for the first. Young going for the bundle. Incomplete, intended for Rice in the end zone.
Rice was double covered all the way on that one. Watch him here. He's bumped there. Then you're going to see the safety over there behind him. You see the safety's just waiting there. And they just sandwiched Jerry Rice. Eddie Anderson, number 33, was just sitting back there waiting. I think the 49ers, they have to go for it on 4th down, but should think in terms of getting a first down. Get the first down, then go for the touchdown. They had 2 plays to get a first down. Now they have 1. You don't have to get it in the end zone. You have to get a first down.
They need 7 yards. Young flushed out of the pocket. The pass is incomplete. The Raiders will take over. Anthony Smith did most of the work to put the pressure on Young. Roger Craig and Ronnie Lott leading the celebration.
They can say it was just another game, but we know better than that.
Raiders take over with 1 minute and 48 seconds left. Last time the 49ers started 2-3, as it appears they're going to do this time, was back in 1982. Ronnie Lott looks like he's still ready to play some more.
I'll tell you, he comes on game day ready to play. He told me once last year, he said, I don't have as many hits in me. He said, I have to pick my spots. He said, I have them. You talk about Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, and you have to remember there's another ex-49er, number 50, Ricky Ellison. So there are 3 happy Raiders who were ex-49ers. And they try and play down revenge and vendettas and stuff like that, but it's in there. It's in there. And when the 49ers put Ronnie Lott on plan B, maybe he could have gone back with the 49ers, but he was embarrassed. why he left.
Roger Craig was hurt.
Of course, you know, they remember that last play. They remember the Giant game. And Roger Craig had to live with that the whole off season and then come down and play here. And didn't get everything back, but they got a little of it back today.
49ers are out of timeouts. Schrader runs in circles. Big circles.
Slow circles.
The Rams beat Green Bay 23-21. They'll get a bye next week and get a lot of people back, as will the 49ers.
Now you think of the 49ers over there in that sideline now, and the happiness of the Raiders, but you just go back to last year's championship game, the 49ers and the New York Giants. Roger Craig was playing for the 49ers then in the championship game. Ronnie Lott was playing for the 49ers. The 49ers and the Giants were the two best teams in the NFC, and they lost. And now the two best teams in the NFC last year, the 49ers and the Giants, are both 2-3.
Timeout for the Raiders. 52 seconds left to play.
Jim Burt came back and he made that play that put him back in the game. Howie Long had a good day today, including an interception.
We will, of course, have scores and highlights of the day throughout the NFL on the postgame show coming up as soon as this is over. George Seibert deep in thought.
You know, and part of that thought is, what are you going to do about Joe Montana? You know, he's going to try and throw the ball on Monday. The 49ers have a bye. Has a torn tendon. I believe that he's tried that arm. I believe Joe Montana knows you just can't carry your elbow around with you all day, every day, and not try and throw that throwing motion somewhere. I know he's been throwing Nerf balls around, so he's tried it. I don't know that anyone else knows, but I know Joe Montana knows.
He knows if he can throw or not.
Yeah.
And Ricky Ellison.
If you're a linebacker, that's how you celebrate. You just let air out of your body.
Raider keeps the ball again. No big circle. All the way back to about the 3-yard line. Schrader very happy about the way things have developed. Raiders 12, 49ers 6.